Shashamin Mano brought him up to Eagle Lake. Christmas vacation. Of 37, you know?
And so he takes him to Eagle Lake to meet you?
Yes. He took Roland up with him.
And to do what?
Well, I think we went ice fishing. I don't remember.
So on your first date, you went ice fishing with Dad
Yes.
on Eagle Lake?
And I had met your father. I knew his brother Rosaire well. As a matter of fact,
He was near your age, right?
yeah.
Did you ever have a date with Rosaire? No, shh. It's not for the camera.
Well, anyway, to make a long story short, I met Roland, who had just opened his office and got married. That was the best thing I ever did in my life.
How old were you?
Because by that time I was pushing 25.
25. Time to get married.
Yes, yes, it certainly was, and he was older by 5 years.
Date before you married?
From that Christmas to October, yes. I didn't go work that summer, I think purposely.
Yeah, so you'd be around.
So I'd work my way in, because there were others.
He went to pick up Robert at Bowdoin and stopped by to pick me up. But I graduated, and Lily and Bart were the only two who came to my graduation. And I had left with them. So he came to see me up in Eagle Lake. So all summer we went out together. We got married in October 1930.
October 1930, and you got married?
Yeah, because he even took me to interview for jobs in Madawaska and so on, you know, and different places.
Were you working? Were you working in 1938 when you got married?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I never got to teach.
There.
Yes, Monsignor Johnson married us. At that time, if a girl was old enough, she could go marry out of her parish, for the simple reason that many didn't want big weddings and the parents couldn't afford big weddings or so on. But that was cut out during the war years because they wanted to investigate more before they married anybody.
Was this during the Depression, so people couldn't afford to
That's
have
right,
a big
that's
wedding,
right,
and so it was fairly
that's
common
right.
you left?
And of course,
Yeah.
Marrying Roland Page, Dr. Page's son, my folks couldn't afford a wedding that would have pleased Mrs. Page. All right.
Who was at the wedding besides you and Dad? Did you have
ourselves, and the two altar boys later turned out to be war heroes. Loring Air Force Base is named after, I think his name was Charles Martin Loring. They were both boys from
Portland?
Chevrolet,
Yeah.
you know.
Did you honeymoon there in Portland?
Oh,
or?
no, we drove down to Boston, and as soon as we got there, dear brother Roland called his dear brother Rosaire and said, Maxine and I just got married. And Rosaire said, don't do anything, wait for me. And he arrived with a friend, I don't remember his first name, but he ended up being Dr. Colony. And both of them were interning at the Grafton Insane Asylum, I think. Well, anyway, they came down, and Roland took them, and I took them to dinner. I don't recall if we went to Union Oyster House or something or other. And did they all three get roaring drunk? And we had to drive them back to North Grafton. It was late, and your father was, and I didn't drive then. I used to say, if I had had the money, I would have left and gone home. But the next day we went to the football game, Harvard Army game, and
Didn't he end up driving the wrong way on a one-way street that
yes,
night?
he was, and I'd see Roland. But anyway, we got back to Boston. We returned home, and we lived over at Dr. Page's. They were then living in the old Dickey house, and Roland had already rented the house where Carol was born in back of his office. There was a house being built.
Oh, so
And
to
while we
start
were
out
on our honeymoon, we bought all our furniture at Sears Roebuck, red maple, which we had for years, and
oh,
you
yeah, I remember
kids,
that. Yeah.
some of the, red maple.
Oh, I didn't realize you had
That
gotten
was
that
in
then.
stock. Oh yes, and I bought a set of blue willow dishes, which I always admired and liked. Look at that, glasses, everything.
What'd you do? Have it shipped to Fort
No,
Kent?
no, sure,
No.
that was shipped up.
You had your own car then, you and Dad, so you could drive back up to Fort
Well,
Kent.
I think maybe the car got me. Your father had bought that summer a new car, a Ford, from Bill Pelkey.
Yeah.
Huh? Was he the Ford man, Bill Pelkey, or Chevrolet? Well, anyway, he had a new car, a V8, what was called a V8. Oh, God, sure it's a Ford. The next one was the Chevrolet. And he had a new boat with a new motor.
So he had all these things that were
Yeah.
making him look quite
Oh, yeah.
successful.
And little Maxine, who never had anything, that was a lot.